This is Pastor David's Daily Bread Guide message. In today's chapter, 1 Corinthians 10, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Today's chapter can be divided into three. First, verse 1 to 13, warnings from Israel's history, obey to the spiritual authority. Verse 14 to 22, Holy Communion is important. Thirdly, verse 23 to 34, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Following chapter 9 of 1 Corinthians, Apostle Paul is emphasizing on the importance of spiritual authority and the why we should abide under the spiritual authority. The spiritual authority is not to control you, but this is very essential, and the opposite attitude to following the spiritual attitude is spiritual authority is to live according to your own desires. So if you don't want to follow the spiritual authority, it means you have higher desire to live according to your own thoughts, and you do not follow the spiritual authority. Verse 2, it says, they were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. So Apostle Paul gives the example of the unity between Moses, the spiritual authority, and the Israelites. They were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. They are all united in spirit. They are united with the spiritual authority. But the Corinthians church was not following the spiritual authority of Apostle Paul. That's why Apostle Paul is emphasizing a lot about why it's so important, and he really encourages the Corinthians church to follow his authority as the spiritual leader. The verse 7 and the following verses are describing the result of not following the spiritual authority, just following their own desires. Verse 7, do not be idolaters, as some of them were, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. This is Exodus chapter 32, when the Israelites worship the golden statue. Verse 8, we should not commit sexual immorality, as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 of them died. And verse 9, we should not test Christ, as some of them did and were killed by snakes. This is Numbers chapter 21. And 10, and do not grumble, as some of them did and were killed by the destroying angel. So these are all the results of their own decision. Verse 11 to 13, these things happened to them as examples and were written down as warnings for us, on whom the culmination of the ages is come. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. So why does Apostle Paul give us such examples? It's because these are the warnings for us to consider. So this is the message for us to abide in the spiritual authority. Verse 12 says, so if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. So the concluding message here from the first part is that we should awake always. And for this, we have to be under the spiritual authority with obedience. And the second part is about the communion, verse 14 to 22. And the third part is from verse 23. Let's read verse 23 and verse 24. I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek their own good, but the good of others. So as a Christian, everything is possible for us. We can do everything. We can eat everything. But not all of them is beneficial nor constructive. So what we have to do is to choose what's beneficial and what's constructive. It's our decision. Verse 29, I'm referring to the other person's conscience, not yours. For why is my freedom being judged by another's conscience? So we have the freedom, but we have to do whatever is good before the Lord. And even though we have the freedom, we have to choose for the glory of God, as verse 24 says. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Verse 31. So to wrap up today's message, first, we need to obey to the spiritual authority. And second, whatever we do, whether we eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. So I bless you. These messages really work in your life.